Today, we are diving into a really cool AI experiment that asks a surprisingly simple question about a very complex problem. When you're teaching a computer to see, does size, does it actually matter? Okay, so let's start with a puzzle. Take a look at this field. How much grass is really in there? I'm not talking about a guess. I mean the actual weight of it all, the biomass. Now, could you figure that out just by looking at this one photo? It's a lot trickier than you'd think. And believe it or not, this isn't just some random brain teaser. This is a real thing called the biomass problem. And solving it, it's absolutely crucial for things like improving crop yields for farmers, tracking deforestation, and even understanding the big picture of climate change. So, how in the world do we solve it? Well, what if we didn't have to measure it all by hand? What if we could train a special AI? Think of it like a digital botanist to look at pictures just like that one and calculate the biomass for us. That is exactly what this experiment is all about. So here's the game plan. Like any good experiment, we've got a roadmap. First, we have to get all the data ready. Then we build the AI model itself. After that, we send it to boot camp. We train it and test it. And finally, the best part, we dig into the results and see what our AI actually learned. And that brings us right to the heart of the whole experiment. We're essentially giving our AI a digital magnifying glass to look at these images. So our hypothesis is pretty straightforward. Does changing the size of that magnifying glass change how well the AI can see and measure the grass? All right, before we can get any results, we have to set up our lab. So let's take a quick look at the scientist's toolkit and get a handle on the key ideas we need to know for this whole thing to make sense. Okay, so the brain of our digital botanist is a special kind of AI called a convolutional neural network, or CNN for short. You can basically think of it as an artificial brain that's been specifically built to look at images and find patterns, kind of like how our own brains process what we see. And here it is, the star of our show, the kernel. This is our magnifying glass. It's really just a small filter that the AI slides across every single piece of the image. Its whole job is to spot the basic stuff, the texture on a blade of grass, the sharp edge of a shadow, or the general shape of a leaf. And this is what's so cool about this setup. The size of that little filter, whether it's tiny like 3 pixels by 3 or bigger like 7 by 7, is the only thing we're changing. This one little number. That's what this entire experiment is about. Of course, we need a way to grade our AI's homework, right? How do we know if it's actually learning? That's where the loss function comes in. It's basically an error report. Every time the AI guesses, the loss function tells us how wrong it was. So for this number, our goal is simple. Get it as low as possible. And then there's the flip side. We also have to measure success. The R-squared score is like its accuracy score. It tells us how well the AI's predictions actually line up with the real-world truth. A perfect score would be 1. So for this one, the higher the better. Okay, the lab is set up, we know the rules, it is time for the main event. We've got 3 AI models. They are identical in every single way, except for one, the size of their kernel. 3 models enter, 1 model wins. Let's see what happens. So, meet our contenders. In one corner, we have the small 3 by 3 kernel. You can think of this one as the specialist, built to see tiny, fine-grained details and super sharp edges. In the other corner, we have the larger 5 by 5 and 7 by 7 kernels. These are the generalists, better at seeing the big picture, broad textures and overall shapes. Which approach is going to win? Now, to make sure this was a totally fair fight, we put every single model through the exact same training routine. They each got to study the data for 20 full cycles, or epochs, which gave them more than enough time to learn the patterns and get better at making predictions. All right, training is over. It's time to see the report cards. What did our digital botanists actually figure out? Let's decode these results. Okay, so these 2 charts basically tell the whole story. For the R-squared chart over on the left, remember, higher is better. We're looking for the line that climbs the highest. And for the loss chart on the right, it's the opposite. Lower is better. We want to see which line drops the fastest and stays down. Now, the graphs give us a pretty good idea, but this table has the cold, hard numbers. And listen, the most important column here is the one all the way on the right, best val R2. This is the final exam, the best score each model got on data it had never, ever seen before. So, who took home the prize?
And there's our answer. The winner, with a top R-squared score of almost 0.24, is the model that used the smallest 3x3 kernel. It wasn't a total landslide, but it was definitely the clear winner.
So what does this all mean? What's our big takeaway? Well, for this specific problem, trying to figure out grass biomass from a picture, the AI that was built to see the smallest, tiniest details did the best job. Seeing the fine texture of an individual leaf was actually more important than seeing the general shape of a whole patch of grass. So in this case, size did matter, and smaller was better.
And that really gets you thinking, doesn't it? We changed just one tiny number deep in the guts of the AI's design, and it led to a measurably better result. It just goes to show you how sensitive these incredibly complex systems are. And it leaves us with this really fascinating question. If a simple tweak like this one can unlock better performance, what's the next huge AI breakthrough that's just hiding in plain sight?